Hi, I'm Sally, and this is Battle Bits. In today's clip, we are going to be reading the first chapter of Masterminds by Gordon Corman. And actually, I'm going to read about half of the first chapter because it's pretty long. So this is Chapter 1, Eli Frieden. It's a 1 in a million shot, and we nail it. Just not in the way we planned. I lie against the cool stone of the pool deck and peer into the filter opening. I can make out the tip of the boomerang, but I can't quite jam my hand in deep enough to get a grip on it. It's stuck. What are the odds, Randy groans. You could throw that thing 50,000 times and never get anywhere near the filter, but one little challenge and bullseye. Randy's famous around Serenity for his challenges, which usually involve catching something uncatchable while riding on a bicycle, jumping on a pogo stick, swinging on a rope, or rolling inside a truck tire. As his best friend, I'm usually the guinea pig for Randy's cockamamie ideas. Like today's challenge. Randy throws the boomerang out the window of the treehouse, and I'm supposed to leap off the diving board, snatch it out of midair, and do a cannonball into the pool. Only I miss. The cannonball turns into more of a belly flop, and the boomerang disappears inside the filter. Maybe Mr. Amani can get it out, I suggest. He's the local handyman whose job includes pool maintenance and just about everything else from plumbing and electrical work to ridding your crawl space of scorpions and baby armadillos. And maybe he can't, which means my folks will have to call the pool guys. That's a much bigger deal than it sounds. There's no pool company in Serenity, and the nearest town is 80 miles away. It can take weeks to get anybody to schedule a trip out here, and in the meantime, your pool turns to soup. Mr. and Mrs. Hardaway aren't going to be thrilled with this, although they're pretty used to it, having dealt with Randy for 13 years. It's definitely a drawback to living in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Every time something like this comes up, though, my dad just points to the newspaper clipping on our fridge. Serenity voted #1 in USA for standard of living. He leads me through the bullet points in the article. No crime, no unemployment, no poverty, and no homelessness. The amazing part isn't so much that we have none of those things, but that other towns do, and they're okay with it. It must be awful. Of course, there are only 185 people in Serenity, so it's not so hard to make sure all of them have some place to live and work. We've got the Serenity Plastic Works, one of the largest producers of orange traffic cones in the United States. Our school has the highest test scores in New Mexico. We're right on the edge of Carson National Forest, surrounded by canyons, foothills, and woods, and the sun shines practically every day. True, it gets pretty hot sometimes, but we don't bake like they do in those real desert towns. No wonder Dad's so proud. He's the mayor, which sounds like a big deal, but really it isn't. His salary as mayor is $1 per year, and he always claims he's overpaid. Our parents constantly remind us how lucky we are, and we always roll our eyes. But you know what? They're right. We are lucky. Just not when the pool filter is busted and the nearest repair is in Taos. Randy makes an executive decision. I'm not going to tell my folks about it. I'll just act 10 times as amazed as everybody else when they find the boomerang in there. I'm a little uncomfortable. That feels like lying. I know people do it all the time on TV and in books. But here, we're honest no matter what. Even when it's hard to be or when it could get you in trouble. That might sound a little too good to be true, but I think that's why people here are so happy. We could go to my pool, I suggest, anxious to change the subject. No boomerang, though. My dad is 20 times as strict as the Hardaways. He's the school principal as well as the mayor, and that is a big job. There's only one school in town. Nah, I'm sick of swimming. We could hang out in the treehouse. Boring, he declares. Every kid in town has a treehouse, and none of them are any fun. And don't say video games either. It doesn't matter how good your home theater is when all your games are lame. Our games aren't so lame, I remind him. Randy and I have figured out a way to tweak the game software to unlock hidden features, like crashing cars and fighting with real weapons. Turns out I've got a knack for that kind of thing. I can do it with my iPad and computers too. It's strictly hush-hush because everybody in Serenity is anti-violence. I am too, but in a video game, I figure where's the harm in it? It's not like it's actually happening. Yawn. Randy gets this way sometimes, where nothing satisfies him. Basically, he's a crab. Believe it or not, it's one of the main reasons I like him. You don't hear much complaining in Serenity. Randy always manages to find something, though. It's almost as if he's daring the universe to do a better job, no matter how great things already are. I think my dad would be happier if I found a different best friend. But let's face it, in a town with only 30 kids, there's not much to choose from. And anyway, you don't find best friends. Best friends just happen. So what are we gonna do? I ask him. Let's get out of here. Let's go somewhere. I brighten. They've built the new high slide at the park. He's unimpressed. Big deal. You climb up so you can come down. Let's go do something cool. Like what? Like, his eyes dance. Check out the most awesome old sports car you've ever seen. Sports car, I echo. When you live in a place this small, not only do you know every car, you could probably recite the license plate numbers by heart. When somebody gets a new vehicle, 3/4 of the town show up to see it. There are plenty of fancy SUVs and sedans, but no sports cars. Well, it was the weirdest thing. My dad and I were hiking a few miles out of town, and we found an old abandoned ranch. Busted up fences and a house that was nothing but a pile of toothpicks. The only thing standing was the rusted Quonset hut. And when we went inside, the car was there. The tires were flat, and the whole thing was buried in dust and spider webs, but it was beautiful. My dad said it was Italian, an Alfa Romeo. It had Colorado license plates from 1961. Wow, I say. Yeah, he enthuses. Let's go see it. What, right now? Randy shrugs. What are you waiting for, Christmas? It's not too far. Grab your bike and let's go. I hesitate. I have to ask my dad. He looks pained. Bad idea. I know your old man. Poor Dad. Felix Frieden is kind of a joke among the kids in town, with his 3-piece suits and his shined shoes and his no-nonsense attitude. They just see his principal side. Randy has a point, though. You think he'll say no? Why give him the chance, Randy insists. The car's only a few miles away. We'll be there and back before he even knows you're gone. Come on, Eli, live a little. It's just, I'm embarrassed to say it, but I have to be honest. I've never been out of town. Well, neither have I, not since we visited my grandma when I was 6. No, I interrupt. I've never been anywhere out of town, not even where your dad took you hiking. Well, what about the time in science when our class went fossil hunting? He challenges. That was still inside the town limits. Mrs. Laska said so. He's amazed. But haven't you ever passed that stupid sign? The one that says, now leaving Serenity, America's ideal community? I shake my head. I've never even seen it. Well, you're going to see it today, he decides. Grab your bike. That's another thing about Randy. He won't take no for an answer. He doesn't exactly bring out the best in me, but we have a great time together, and that counts for a lot. He does the things I daydream about, but don't have the guts to try. Until today. And that is the beginning of the first chapter of Masterminds by Gordon Korman. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.